The power of your first hour every morning. We face a choice: do we hand over the first hour of our day to noise and chaos? Or do we use it to create clarity and intention? Most people wake up and instantly reach for their phones, scrolling through emails, notifications, or social media. It's like handing over your mind to the world before you've even connected with yourself. I learned that how you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. And this isn't just about productivity hacks, it's about claiming ownership of your mind before the world does. Because if you don't train your mind first thing in the morning, trust me, the world will. So, ask yourself, what do I want to create today? Who do I want to become? These aren't just feel-good questions, they're powerful cues that awaken your self-awareness, guide your goals, and shape your personal growth. When I began starting my mornings with intention, whether through a short meditation, quiet reflection, or planning my day, I noticed something shift. My days stopped feeling reactive and scattered. Instead, they became focused and energized. I wasn't just responding to life, I was leading it. Taking charge of that first hour is like gripping the steering wheel of your life. If you let it go, you drift, but if you hold it even lightly, you steer your own course. That's self-discipline in action. Your energy, emotions, and decisions begin to align. I often say, the difference between a reactive life and a purposeful one starts with your first thought of the day. That's where emotional intelligence meets intention. One of the most powerful things you can do is start your day without technology, no screens, no noise, just you, your breath, and your thoughts. Use that time to stretch, write in a journal, read something inspiring like The Miracle Morning by Hello Rod. These small rituals aren't just routines. They're acts of self-respect that strengthen your mindset and build your resilience. And here's the magic: once that hour ends, the world is still the same, but you're not. Your energy shifts, your focus sharpens, your confidence rises. That's the power of owning your first hour. It echoes throughout your entire day. So ask yourself, what could your life look like if you fiercely protected that one sacred hour every morning? Protecting your sacred time. I used to believe productivity was about doing more, but I eventually realized it's not about cramming more into your day, it's about guarding your time like it's sacred. One focused hour of growth can be lost in seconds to distractions, and those distractions rarely come wearing warning signs. They show up as just one quick text, just a minute on Instagram, or just one email. But each small interruption chips away at your clarity like trading gold for crumbs. Protecting your hour isn't about being rude or rigid. It's about being intentional. You're not shutting others out, you're choosing to show up for yourself. And when you consistently do that, the people around you start to notice. They respect it because you're modeling what it means to honor your time and your life. I scheduled my growth hour like a non-negotiable meeting. No calls, no notifications, no distractions, just me, my thoughts, and my goals. That hour became my sacred space, my creative lab for self-discovery. Think of it like planting a seed. If you dig it up every 5 minutes, it never grows. But if you give it time and attention, it becomes a tree. That's what your hour needs: focus and patience. You won't be perfect every day, and that's okay. What matters is the willingness to return to that space. You don't have to be harsh, just firm. Because when you guard that hour, you're guarding your future. So, ask yourself, what could you build if nobody could steal that time, not even you? What kind of person would you become if you made that hour untouchable? That's what it means to respect your potential. And if it sounds hard, ask yourself, what's the real cost of not doing it? Work smarter, not just harder. There was a time when I said yes to everything, working nonstop, chasing every opportunity, believing that hustle alone would get me ahead. But I learned that discipline without direction is just movement without meaning. It's like running on a treadmill. You're exhausted, but you're not actually getting anywhere. So before you dive into your day, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, where am I going? That one question can turn chaos into clarity. In the early days of Alibaba, I'd remind myself and my team, don't stay busy just to look busy. First, get aligned. We'd start each day by asking, what's the goal? Why does it matter? That small moment of alignment made a big difference. Even 3 minutes of intention can turn an ordinary hour into a breakthrough. Direction is your compass. You don't need to know every step, just your true north, and sometimes the clearest direction comes from failure. That's okay. As long as you're moving with purpose, you're growing. Before starting your focused hour, write down a goal, keep it in front of you. Ask yourself, what do I want to learn? What skill do I want to sharpen? What impact do I want this hour to have? That small ritual trains your brain to stay focused and intentional. It's like tuning an instrument before a concert. Get it right, and everything else sounds better. Many people aren't burned out from doing too much, they're tired because they lack direction. But when you give your hour a clear purpose, your energy becomes unstoppable. So what would happen if every action you took aligned with your biggest goals? The return on learning over the years. I've realized that the greatest investment you can make isn't in stocks, real estate, or business. It's in yourself, specifically in learning. Every hour I spent learning something meaningful became a step toward a future that no one could take away from me. And the best part, you don't need an Ivy League education or fancy seminars. Just 1 hour of learning a day can change your entire identity. I used to read biographies of people who changed the world. I listened to podcasts, studied failures, and jotted down key insights. That hour wasn't just about gaining knowledge, it was about transformation. And no one can ever take that from you. What you learn becomes part of your thinking, your strength, and your ability to navigate life. If you don't know where to start, just read. Start with something timeless, like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Then do it again tomorrow, because learning shapes your choices, it sharpens your instincts, it expands your emotional intelligence. That hour became my daily check-in with the best version of myself. Sometimes it was a podcast, sometimes a documentary, sometimes just 10 pages, but it was always fuel. In today's fast-paced world, self-improvement isn't optional, it's essential. And while the world doesn't reward what you know, it can't reward what you haven't learned either. Knowledge is where application begins. Every breakthrough starts with an idea. And the more you feed your mind, the more prepared you are for the opportunities life throws your way. You don't need more hours in the day, you just need one intentional hour dedicated to learning. And over time, that 1 hour will change everything. A year from now, you won't recognize the person you used to be. So what if learning became your daily habit, not an exception, but a lifestyle? From knowing to doing, the power of practice. I used to believe that knowing something was enough. But I've learned that knowledge without action is like owning a gym and never lifting a weight. Real change happens when you apply what you've learned. Even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. 1 hour of practice is worth more than 10 hours of theory. That's how growth becomes real. That's how you go from understanding something to embodying it. I often tell people, don't wait for the rabbit to slow down, become faster yourself. In other words, stop waiting for perfect conditions. Use what you have, apply the principle, send the email, start the project. Action creates clarity. When I started Alibaba, I didn't wait to become an expert in e-commerce. We learned by doing. We launched, we failed, we adapted. That's the rhythm of success. Try, fail, adjust, repeat. Practice isn't just about repetition, it's about courage. It's about showing up even when you're not sure you're ready. And the more you practice, the more you believe in yourself. That's how you build confidence. That's how habits become identity. So don't just collect ideas, live them. Watch the video, try the method, read the book, apply the strategy. With every act of practice, you reinforce your belief that you're growing, and eventually it's no longer just practice, it's who you are. So what if your next hour wasn't about planning but doing? The transformative power of reflection, of inaction, isn't enough if you never pause to reflect. Reflection is where growth becomes wisdom. After every focused hour, I would take a few minutes to ask, what did I learn? What could I improve? That small habit became one of my most powerful tools. Without reflection, you're just repeating the same hour over and over again. Most people skip this part. They jump from one task to the next, never pausing to extract the lesson. But progress comes from those mid-course corrections, like a pilot making small adjustments in flight. That's how you evolve from being just a doer to being a strategist. That's how self-discipline becomes self-mastery. In a world that moves fast, those who reflect don't just keep up, they rise above. The power of daily reflection. Even on the busiest days at Alibaba, I carved out 5 minutes to pause and ask myself, what went well today? What could I improve tomorrow? That simple habit helped us grow, not just by working hard, but by understanding our efforts. I wasn't aiming for perfection. I was aiming to get better every single day. I often say, those who learn fast, grow fast. It's not just about how quickly you move, it's about how quickly you learn as you move. You don't need a complicated system to reflect. A quick journal entry, a short voice memo, or even a quiet moment before bed can be enough. These tiny rituals transform everyday experiences into meaningful lessons. When you treat each hour like an experiment and yourself like a student of your own life, something incredible happens. You start to evolve. You stop reacting, you begin refining. Greatness doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small adjustments, repeated, refined, and respected. So if you spent just 1 hour today growing, imagine how much stronger that hour could be tomorrow. Fueling success through health. For a long time, I believed that relentless hustle was the secret to success. But eventually, I learned something crucial. A tired body leads to a tired mind. Even the brightest ideas fade when your body's energy is low. I often say, if you have a dream, you'll never feel poor. But dreams need a healthy body to carry them forward. Success and health aren't separate, they're partners. So I started dedicating 1 hour each day to movement, not heavy workouts, just intentional care. Walking, stretching, breathing, that hour became my reset button. It gave me clarity, focus, and inner strength. Want to build mental resilience? Start by strengthening your body. It's easy to ignore your physical health when your goals are digital or mental. But every successful entrepreneur I admire has one thing in common: they protect their health. They understand that discipline in sleep, nutrition, and movement translates into sharper thinking and better time management. You don't need a gym. You just need to move. Take a walk in nature, do 10 minutes of yoga. Close your eyes and take 10 deep breaths. I've seen brilliant minds burn out simply because they treated their health as an afterthought. And the cost of neglect always arrives when energy dips, motivation fades, and burnout sets in. As I always say, the discipline of health weighs ounces, the regret of neglect weighs tons. So ask yourself, what if your next big breakthrough isn't in a strategy session, a podcast, or a meeting, but in your next workout, your next nourishing meal, your next moment of calm? What could you create if your body became your greatest ally instead of your biggest limitation? The quiet hour, building in silence. Most people wait for the right time to build something meaningful. I didn't. I built Alibaba during what I now call the quiet hour, those moments when the world is resting, scrolling, or zoning out. That silent time after the noise dies down is where legacies are born. One consistent hour after hours can build your future. You don't need capital, you need consistency. You don't need applause, you need discipline. In that quiet space, there were no distractions, no opinions, just me, my vision, and a keyboard, and that was enough. You don't have to quit your job to build your dream, you just have to manage your time like someone who believes in it, while others slept through their evenings. I was laying the foundation brick by brick. I always say, don't wait for big moments. Create small ones repeatedly and they'll grow into something unstoppable. I've watched billion-dollar businesses begin in quiet kitchens, 1 hour a night, one idea at a time. That's how self-improvement becomes success, one invisible brick at a time. You might say, but I'm tired after work. I understand. So was I, but that one focused hour didn't drain me, it fueled me. It became a mission. A whisper from my future self saying, keep going, and over time, that whisper became a roar. Don't underestimate your quiet hour, use it to write, build, learn, create. 1 year of quiet hours can give you a life of freedom. When your future knocks, will you be ready? The true wealth of connection in the pursuit of goals. It's easy to forget the people who matter most, but here's the truth: success without connection is an empty win. What's the point of building an empire if you have no one to share it with? That's why I committed to 1 hour a week just for real connection. No phones, no distractions, just presence. That hour gave everything else in my life more meaning. In Alibaba's early days, some people thought I was foolish for putting people over profits. But I believed in this: clients first, employees second, shareholders third. That idea wasn't popular, but it worked. When people feel seen, they give their best. Loyalty doesn't come from salaries, it comes from trust, from emotional intelligence, from shared values. So, take an hour, call a friend, share a laugh with your parents, go for a walk with your partner. These small moments are the roots of real resilience. When life gets hard, and it won't be your followers or metrics that keep you grounded. It will be the people who love you for who you are, not what you produce. You don't need big gestures, you need presence, eye contact, listening. That's where connection grows. And when your heart is full, your creativity expands, your motivation multiplies. Gratitude begins in the presence of others. So if you're chasing success, don't forget who you're chasing it for. Because 1 hour a week spent on relationships could make everything else in your life feel whole. Again, stacking your hours, the Alibaba way. People often ask me how I built Alibaba. They expect some secret formula or lucky break, but the truth is simple and much harder. I built it 1 hour at a time. One focused, intentional hour stacked upon another, every single day. That's how self-discipline compounds. 1 hour a day becomes 7 a week, 30 a month, over 300 a year. That's 2 full months of personal growth done quietly, consistently, when no one was watching. I always say, transformation isn't loud. It doesn't happen on social media, it happens in silence, while others waited for motivation. I showed up, I stacked my hours like bricks, building a foundation no one could see but one everyone would eventually admire. Over time, those hours became a structure of skills, of strength, of confidence. 300 hours could change your life. That's time to start a new business, learn a new language, reinvent your habits. Each hour you dedicate is a vote for your future self, and those votes add up. When I look back, I don't remember flashy moments, I remember those silent hours. That's where the transformation happened. So ask yourself, what could you build in the next year? Not with luck, but with 300 invisible hours, because when you start stacking, you stop doubting. And when you stop doubting, you start becoming your new operating system for life. People think transformation happens overnight like flipping a switch. But real change is built 1 hour at a time. That sacred hour shapes your identity day by day. As I tell young people, you don't change your life in a leap, you change it in consistent, focused daily action. Self-discipline, focus, resilience. These aren't talents, they're decisions repeated until they become who you are. Every time you choose to reflect, to grow, to move, to learn, you're casting a vote for the future version of you. It might feel small at first. You may not notice the change right away, but stay with it. One day, you'll realize you don't react the same way. Your choices are sharper, your energy is stronger. That's not just personal development, that's life transformation. I used to tell my team, if we can start with nothing and succeed, then anyone can. We didn't wait to be ready, we acted, we believed, we pushed through hard hours. Because success isn't about talent, it's about persistence. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards action, and if you stick with it, one day you'll wake up and realize you didn't just change your habits, you changed who you are. So don't wait for a miracle, be the miracle. 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour of vision. Stack those hours and you won't just live differently, you'll become someone new. Jack Ma's blueprint for life transformation. They told us change required luck, a big break, the right connection, but Jack Ma's story and his unforgettable message proved otherwise. He showed that transformation doesn't begin with opportunity. It begins with how you use the next 60 minutes. From earning $12 a month as an English teacher to building one of the world's largest tech empires, Jack Ma's journey wasn't fueled by privilege but by discipline and clarity. In his most powerful talk, Jack shared how one focused hour a day can reshape your future. What made it unforgettable wasn't just the advice, it was how real it felt. Because deep down, we all know we have more power than we give ourselves credit for. He reminded us, protect your time like treasure, start your day with purpose, turn learning into action, transform thoughts into progress. One of his most powerful quotes, you don't change your life in one leap. You change it 1 hour at a time. From early mornings of focused thinking, to late nights spent building in silence, from walking to stay healthy, to listening deeply to loved ones, every area of transformation was linked to one idea, use your hour. He shared raw stories of rejection, fear, loneliness, and the quiet victories that no one saw but everyone now respects. He wasn't just an entrepreneur, he became a mirror to our own potential. And he left us with a final challenge. What will you do with your next hour? Scroll, delay, distract? Or will it be the first hour of the life you were meant to live? You now have the blueprint. 12 strategies to build self-discipline, clarity, emotional intelligence, and deep personal growth. But none of it matters unless you act. So what hit you hardest? Was it the reminder to protect your quiet hour? The challenge to reflect daily? The call to treat your health like your future depends on it, because it does. Let us know in the comments what you're going to start with. Tell us which hour you're committing to. This isn't just motivation, it's your new system for life. And whenever you feel stuck or overwhelmed, come back to this, let it ground you, guide you, and remind you of who you really are. If this message spoke to you, don't lose the momentum.